When is the best time to attack someone? Is it when they're at their strongest, when they're at their peak, when they're at their best? Or is it when they're distracted and divided and confused and unsure of what exactly it is they're doing? What if the worst people in the world just decided to stop? What if evil just decided to take a rest? What if the people who are committed to doing the worst things in the world decided, no mas, we're never gonna do it again? But if you're anything like me, you know for a fact that's never gonna happen. So we gotta be diligent about what it is that we're doing. If life was a play or a movie, what role would you play? Would you be the main character? Would you be the good guy? Would you be the bad guy? Would you be a background person? Would you be somebody who doesn't even matter? Or are you doing everything you can to make sure that your voice is being heard in the beautiful play that is life? When exactly does evil take a rest? When exactly do bad people stop working? When exactly do those with ill will and negativity on their minds and hearts, when do they give it up? The answer is never. So if the people who have bad on their minds and evil in their heart are never going to give it a rest, how can the people who are good ever even think about taking stock? And so if the worst people on earth are never taking a rest, how can the best people on earth sit back and be idle while they watch the world burn? And so if the worst people on earth are never going to take rest, the best people on earth have to find a way to fight back. Yeah, we can't just sit back and take things lying down. We actually got to do something. What exactly should good people be doing in order to make the world a better place? What exactly can we do in order to leave the world better off than it was when we got here? What should the best of us be doing in order to combat the negativities and evils of the world? What should the good of us be doing in order to combat those who are so committed to doing bad? How should we be thinking? How should we be moving? How should we be organized? How do we make sure that we're diligent and focused and doing everything we can to make sure that our impact is felt? What exactly is at stake if we're not active? What exactly is at stake if we don't do what it takes in order to make the changes that we need? What exactly do we risk losing if in fact we're not focused and dedicated and committed to doing what's right? If we know that the human brain reacts several times more powerfully to negative stimulation, that means that it's up to us to make sure that we are flooding the world with goodness and positivity to make sure that there's some balance in this thing called life. Yeah, the bad won't rest, so the good can't either. Today I want to talk about the idea of being heard, why the good can never be silent, because doing so is the same as doing bad. And so today I want to talk about the idea of being heard, of making sure that your voice and presence and actions are felt even in the face of adversity, even when there's evil in front of you, even when it doesn't seem easy, because there's so much on the line that we cannot afford to lose, not the least of which are our children and our futures. So we gotta do it. You know, it's really common to hear people talking about how negative the world has become, how bad things have gotten. But what exactly are the good doing to make sure that the bad isn't taking over? When does evil take rest? When do bad people stop? When do the wicked give it up? Never. And so that means that the good must remain diligent and focused and persistent and consistent, because we know that evil and bad is never gonna let up. What exactly should we be doing when we know that forces of negativity, that forces for bad are constantly at work, are constantly planning and plotting and thinking of a way to get to the top spot? If we know for a fact that there are forces out there who are trying to do bad, the people who have good on their heart must remain focused, must remain committed, and must put in the work in order to make the impact. Being passive is a choice. Choosing to do nothing is a choice. Choosing to be inactive is a choice. And it's a choice we can't afford to take because the risk is far too great. When we're talking about our future, when we're talking about our children, when we're talking about our communities, how can we possibly risk not being active and letting things fall to the wayside or fall into the hands of someone who doesn't actually care? And so today I want to talk to you about the idea of making sure that you are being heard. Not only in voice, not only in thoughts, but in deeds, in action, and results. Not only do we want to make sure that we are saying things and we are speaking up for what is right, but also that we're doing what's right, that our actions are following the words that we say. Because at a certain point, talking about it isn't enough. Performative things are not enough. And so if you want to see real change, if you want to see true growth, if you want to see real improvement, it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us deciding to commit to being better, to doing better, and not allowing those who are plotting and evil and negative to take precedence. We can't let it happen. We must be heard through not only our thoughts, but our deeds and our actions and our patterns and consistency. It's not enough to be good just one time. You got to do it consistently. It's not enough to speak up just one time. You got to speak up consistently. Speaking up one time can literally change lives. When Rosa Parks decided so many years ago that she wasn't going to move out of her seat that day, it didn't make the movement start. It didn't create the movement. It didn't finish the movement. It was one tiny drop. It was one tiny step in a much bigger and beautiful mosaic that is the human struggle. The struggle for good. The struggle for what's right. But how do we make sure that we continue that fight and continue doing what exactly is right? There are constant opportunities to make your mark on the world. But do you see them? Are you taking advantage? Do you value them like you should? Or are you just tossing them off to the wayside? Have you not even realized that they're there? Do you not even realize just how powerful every chance you get to interact with a person truly can become? When you hear people spreading negativity, when you hear people speaking lies, when you hear people talking about things that you know aren't quite right, do you remain in silence or do you do something? But even beyond just arguing with randoms, what actions are you taking to support the things that you say you believe in? It's not enough to have a random day where you protest Target or you protest this or you do that. What are you doing consistently? What are you doing on election day? And I'm not just talking about the big one every 4 years where you vote for a president. What about those local elections? How are you making sure you're being heard? Leading up to the local elections, what are you doing to educate and arm yourself? How consistent and focused and intentional are you being about spreading good? We got to be intentional, we got to be diligent, and we can't just be flying off the handle. Because that won't work. Content matters. What you say matters. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your perceptions, all of it is impacting and shaping the person you are and what you give back to the world. So what's going on in your mind? What's truly occupying your heart? How are you choosing to fill your time with who, with what, and why? If your lifestyle is a constant influx of negativity and drama and rumors and gossip, how are you going to spread light and positivity? But if your light is a constant influx of knowledge and growth and learning and dedication and commitment, you can be a light, you can be a beacon, and you can literally change the world. But it starts with you. It starts in your mind, and then your words, and then your actions, and again, eventually, you can spread like that wildfire we always talk about. But if you don't understand your very thoughts and beliefs and motivations, your fears, your desires, your triggers, what motivates you, what moves you, how can you learn yourself enough to be effective for others? If you don't know yourself well enough, how can you know the things that the enemy is going to use to trip you up? And if you don't know yourself well enough to be honest with you, if you can't be honest with yourself, how can you ever be honest with other people? It's going to be really hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but people take you serious when you take you serious. People take your movement serious when you take your movement serious. People take the words you say and the changes you fight for serious when they see that you're a serious person who's actually putting into actions and not just lip service. We live in a world where it's far too easy to pull out a phone or a device and throw up a status and throw up a tweet and share a post. And there's nothing wrong with that, but how much substantial change, how much consequential impact are these things making? Now don't get me wrong, by doing these things, on some level you are sharing your voice. But in this infinite evolution of which we're in constant pursuit of, we got to go beyond just what is speaking in words. We must be doers of deeds. Sharing a post is good, but if you don't got any followers or nobody cares what you're saying and nobody's reading it, what did it really do? A story will disappear in 24 hours, but what about the actions? What about the money you spent? What about the person you supported? What about the love and encouragement and support you gave? Those things will never end. When you see that somebody is down on their luck, how do you help them? How do you lift them back up? How do you bring them back? They say that a person might forget the words you say, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. How are you making people feel? In a world where you know that people are constantly spreading negativity and lies and hate and rumors, what are you spreading out there? Is it love? Is it truth? Is it positivity? Is it something even better? Or are you just another? By the way, either you're adding or taking away from this beautiful painting that is your life, the beautiful mosaic that is the world. But are you being intentional or are you just letting things happen? We don't get to complain about forces of evil who are doing X, Y, and Z if we haven't taken the time to be dedicated and focused and take actions to counter whatever they're doing. Sometimes it might not even be as simple as they're evil, but if they're doing things that are working against your interests, that are against the safety and interest and best for your community, we still must do what is necessary to make sure that we are protecting our own, that we're doing what's right. And it can be so easy to just lose track of that. Repetition is the mother of all knowledge. So what are the things you're constantly repeating? What are the patterns you're constantly repeating? What are the words you're constantly saying? The thoughts you're constantly thinking? The experience you're constantly putting yourself back into? And how are they helping you become a better person? How are they brightening or dimming your light? Do you even realize that it's happening? Do you even understand that you have a light? Even if your light is weak, it's still a flicker. You can do something to make it better. You can do something to spread to others, and you can start right now. The best time is always the present. Yesterday is gone. We don't know about tomorrow. But right here, right now, you can do something to spread some good. And it doesn't even matter how small it is, whether it's giving somebody a kind word or doing a nice deed for somebody. Little things add up a long way, and they can become contagious. What if the good you do today spreads like a wildfire? What if the good you do today spreads in a way that we never even thought was possible? What if all it really takes is just a spark? And that spark is enough to build the flames and blaze of glory that we need in order to rise and elevate to the top. Have you ever heard of being the change you want to see? You don't get to complain about what bad is going on without also doing good to cancel it out. From now until the end of time, there will always be wicked. And they may not even be conscious about the fact that they're doing it. And we can spend hour after hour after hour analyzing and thinking about why people are the way they are, or we can go out there and do something. At a certain point, we've done enough research. At a certain point, we got enough information. At a certain point, it's time to start taking action. If you see that your community doesn't look the way it needs to, what are you doing to make it better? Are you complaining? Are you waiting for politicians? Or are you taking action? If you see that companies that you used to support are moving in a way that's funny or fugazi, what are you doing to show I don't support this? If there are other companies who are doing what you love, what are you doing to support them for doing the right thing? Your voice must be heard, and your voice is far beyond just what you hear from the sound. It's where you spend your money, it's how you spend your time, it's who you give your attention to, because the more you feed into the algorithm of whatever these things are doing, the more support they get, the more traction they get, the more momentum they get, and the more they're able to build and repeat what they're doing. If good is able to build traction and momentum, the good can spread like it's nothing. But if bad is building traction and momentum, and we know our brains react several times more strongly to the negative, that negativity is going to spread too. And it's not going to be the good kind of wildfire. It's going to be the kind that burns and destroys. So what are we doing to make sure that we are extinguishing the flames of evil, but building the flames of goodness? When you get the opportunity to stand up for what's right, or stand up for somebody who can't do it for themselves, or protect somebody who is in a vulnerable position, do you do it? Do you look at it as your charge, or is it for somebody else to get done? We can't complain about evil in the world if we're also not willing to cancel it out with just as much good. Some people might call that justice. Other people might call it duty. But at the end of the day, if the good people aren't going to do what's right, the bad people are just going to take over. If those who have goodness in their heart and know what's right don't take the action, that's the same as being evil. That's the same as being bad. Inactivity is a choice. Doing nothing is a choice. And in fact, the reason why so much negativity takes place isn't because the world is just overrun with bad people. It's because good people are sitting on the sidelines and are saying and doing nothing. It's because people who know better and think better and understand better are not being active. They're not taking action, and they're allowing life to just take place and live inside their own bubble. And I get it. Some people have been raised to be a loner. Some people haven't been raised on community. Some people haven't been raised understanding that leadership and being a good person is a thing. Some people have been raised and been taught to be selfish. Well, it's time we counter that. It's time that we were intentional. We start being a little bit more unselfish, a little bit more considerate and nice to people, and it costs $0. That's the best part. It's free to be nice. It's free to be better. And a lot of times it's free to do good. But what are you choosing? The same good and niceness that's free, bad is also free too. Doing nothing is also free too. Inactivity is also free too. All of it is free. What are you going to choose? When you sit back and you reflect on your life, are you going to regret the moments you didn't stand up? Are you going to set yourself up in that way? Are you going to teach others around you to be quiet and to keep silent and to not speak up? Or are you going to show them that even though everybody else is scared, I'm going to be the one to step up. I'm going to be the one to do it. I'll be the one who won't be silent because I don't have it in me to be silent, because I know better, because I can do better, and because sitting back and being inactive is just as bad of a choice as choosing to do bad, choosing to do evil, and choosing to do wrong. When it comes to our bodies, we are literally scientific marvels. And one of the scientific marvels of our bodies is our white blood cells. The white blood cells essentially make sure your body's doing good. They heal things, they protect things, they keep you safe. Well, the same way your body has white blood cells, the universe, the world, life has white blood cells, and it's called the good people. The same way we think of some people as being negative or a virus or the ideas that they spread as a contagion, there are good people who can just as easily spread their goodness, who can just as easily spread positivity and love and hope. And what could be more powerful than hope? What could be more powerful than giving somebody just a little spark to keep going? The same way negativity is contagious, good is contagious too. We just got to start to build and elevate those proverbial white blood cells that are life. Yeah, life has some white blood cells, and it's called the good people. The same way life in the world appears to have people who are negative and are almost like a virus to this world. If one person has a spark and another and another and another, eventually you can create something special. The momentum that can be created by an army of people is so much more powerful than the momentum created by just one spark. But you got to start with one spark, and that one spark could be you. And then you can spread to a friend or a family member. Your kids might see you doing better and being better and speaking up. Now they speak up. Now they do better. What if we created a movement of goodness? What about finding solutions? Maybe you don't know exactly what to do. Maybe you aren't an innovator. Maybe you aren't this super creative. Could you latch on to and could you support someone else who's already doing good? Are there organizations who are doing really good stuff that you could support? Are there people who are doing really good things, revolutionary things, innovative things that you could find a way to support? Not all of us have the gift of gab. Not all of us are going to be athletes. Not all of us are going to be writers. Not all of us can be influencers or content creators. But you can do something. What is it that you can do? Find that thing, do that thing, and do it again and again and again. Rinse and repeat. Be consistent. But don't let the opportunity slip, because we know for a fact that evil and bad ain't going anywhere, so we can't either. Wherever we find darkness, we can fill it up with light. Wherever we see negativity, we can sprinkle in some positivity. Wherever we see people doing wrong, we can mix it up with some right. And we got that choice, but we got to make it. And we got to be intentional. When I say these opportunities are literally everywhere, I do mean literally everywhere. Although I'm not the biggest fan of just going crazy on social media and posting and tweeting and sharing and all of this, it does have some impact. There is some sort of mental and social influence that is to be had with social media. So if you have social media as a tool, use it. If you have words as a tool, use it. If you can sing, use it. If you have finances, use those finances. If you have physical strength, find a way to go volunteer. If you have a good heart, find a way to speak with somebody. There's something that all of us can do, especially if we know that it's in our heart already. We just got to find a way to bring it out into this real world. The thoughts in our mind, the good feelings in our heart are nice, but we got to make them manifest in a real way. And by the way, just a side note on manifestation, I'm really not the biggest fan of the idea of just thinking of something and it happens. What manifestation truly is, to me, what manifestation is it's in my mind. I'm going to go out and do it. I'm not going to think of it and hope for it and spiritualize it until it happens. No, I'm going to go out and do it. I'm going to pray. I'm going to talk to God, and I'm going to ask Him to give me the strength, but then I'm going to do it. I'm not waiting for a handout. I'm not waiting for somebody to do it for me or give it to me. I'm going to go do it, because that's what's expected. If the good you've been hoping to see, if the change you've been wanting to see in the world hasn't happened yet, why is it just going to happen all of a sudden for no good reason? You got to go make it happen. And if you don't make it happen, you don't get to complain about the negativity. If you don't go and get it, you don't get to complain about others taking action, because they are going to do what it takes. And they are going to go out there and fight for what they believe in. Even if what they're fighting for and even if what they believe in is completely wrong, they're going to do it. So you better be active too. Being good and doing what's right can look like a million different things. It might look like applying for that job that you know you're capable of with the best resume possible and preparing yourself for that interview so that you can get into that position and literally change lives. Maybe once you get that position, Maybe once you get that position, you're able to build wealth and share money and finances and resources in a way that you couldn't before. Maybe it looks like asking that girl out who you know is the one, who you know could be a potential wife, or that guy who you know could be a potential husband, or whatever it is doing the thing that is good and right and that's right there in front of you and that you know is calling you, but it might not feel easy. If doing what was easy was enough to make the world right, the world would be a perfect place because everybody would just do what it took. If being lazy, if being inactive was enough, everybody would be successful. But victory goes to those who snatch it. Success goes to those who work for it. And life, and the way that history is written, is often dictated by those who are most active. Not those who are passive, not those who hope for better or have really good thoughts and intentions, but those who do. Those who are good cannot simply sit by and be idle, because it's never going to be enough. Those who are wicked, or even those who are just against you, are always going to be working. So you got to keep going too. Have you ever known that you should be doing something, that you should be helping, that you could make a difference, and you don't? That's a bad feeling. Have you ever known that you should have taken a shot, you should have taken a chance, and you didn't? That's a bad feeling. But what if we compound that with knowing that you could have done good? Knowing that you could have helped somebody out, knowing that you could have made somebody feel better, knowing you could have made somebody's day. You could have literally saved somebody's life by just giving them a smile. There's so many people walking around with frowns on their face, with upset and with anger and with animosity constantly seeping through every little thing they do. The main character of a movie is often flawed and not perfect. But you don't have to be perfect. You can build and you can grow and you can elevate to a level that you never even thought was possible. But it has to start now, and it has to start with you taking action and being intentional. When that main character is able to overcome and fight through adversity and evolve and become something better, it does something to everybody who's watching the movie too. Not just the character in the film. The movie is fake. But if you're able to leave with some inspiration, the inspiration you receive from that movie might literally change your life. Well, who's to say that the life movie that you're living right now couldn't do the same for somebody else? Who's to say that when somebody watches you living life as the main character in your life, who's to say that you can't inspire and spark that same level of change? You can, you just gotta choose it. Let me ask it another way. If life was a movie, are you somebody who you would be rooting for, or are you somebody who you would be disappointed in? If life was a movie, are you really living up to your role as the main character, or are you living life as an extra, as a nobody, as a nothing? No impact, not speaking up, not playing your role, and not allowing your voice to be heard. Each day you get to start by being your best. But are you aware? Do you know it? Do you see it? When you see a movie, when you watch a movie, a lot of times when we go and watch these superhero movies, we're expecting the main guy to deliver. Even though this person is facing adversity, even though the forces of evil may be against them, even though the odds are not stacked in their favor, you're still rooting for them. And you still know that by fighting and being diligent and focused, they can overcome. Why can't you do the same? And so if the cameras of life are rolling and people can really see what you do, or you can look back and see what you've done, are you going to be proud? Are you going to be cheering and rooting at the end of the movie? Or are you going to be a little bit disappointed? Are you going to be a little bit concerned that your favorite superhero didn't show up in the way that they should? What if you are somebody's superhero? What if by being inactive you become somebody's supervillain? Either way, you get to choose. What are you choosing? We cannot afford to be silent. We cannot afford to complain about the lack of change while also not doing enough to make the change come true. It simply doesn't work. Words can be powerful, but actions are even more so. So as much as I want to see and hear people talking and using the language of positivity and love and light, words can be powerful and words can make change. But more than I want to hear people talking and thinking, I want to see people doing. I want to see people taking action. I want to see people planning and organized and building community so that we can make some real impact and change. Because those decisions will ultimately determine who has the final say. Will it be good? Will it be evil? Were we active? Did we fight? Were we faithful? Or did we just let life happen? Do we allow complaint and negativity to echo into the world? Or do we flood this thing with light and positivity and goodness? We get to choose. I know what I'm picking. What about you? And as much as I would love some help, I know that if it's just me, I'm still willing to fight that fight. But I know for a fact that it's not just me. I know for a fact that if you're still watching this video, there's something inside of you too that knows that we can do better. So let's do it together. I can do it by myself. I can make a little bit of impact alone. But if I had a team of people, an army of supporters, a community of us, imagine what we could do. So will you add the light? Will you use your words for good? Will you stand up for what's right? Will you stand up in the face of evil and adversity? And despite the fact that the odds may be against you, you're still going to do what's right because you know it must be done. We aren't here inactive because it's easy or it's fun. We're here because it must be done. We are driven and we are motivated and we are moved by purpose. Not just whims, not just feelings or emotions, but an actual concrete purpose. And that purpose is to do good and to spread light and love and positivity to the world in a way that other people simply don't. I'm not willing to be silent. I'm not willing to be unheard. I'm not willing to be ineffective, and you shouldn't be either. If we lock in, if we work together, if we can create a community, we can create something special. But it starts with us. Your voice matters. Your actions will add up. The only question is, how long do you wait in order to get started? Sometimes in the rare moments, doing nothing is the best choice. But are you strong enough to do nothing in the moments where the people around you are doing evil? If life was like a movie and you were given superpowers, how long would you wait to use them? What if the goodness inside of you is in fact a superpower? What if the light inside of you is in fact a super ability? What if all of the positivity and passion that's flowing and emanating through you is just what the world needs to make it become a better place? How long would you wait to be active? How long would you wait to take advantage of it? How long would you wait to use your abilities for good? I can't wait another second. When it comes to silence and regret, they often go hand in hand. So if you don't want to get to the end of the road and feel that immense regret that you know you could have done better, now is the time to be active. This is the moment to go and get it. The present is the very gift that you've been given to enhance and make your superpowers available to the world. But will you? Some people's roles may be bigger, some people's roles may be smaller, but each and every one of us has a part to play in the beautiful mosaic that is life. But what role are you playing and how intentional are you being? Whether you're a father or a doctor or a teacher or a lawyer or a friend or a family member or a counselor or a therapist or whatever, we all have a role to play. We all have a verse to say in this beautiful thing called life. But what are you doing with yours? Are you intentional? Are you deliberate? Are you consistent? Will you make sure that your voice is being heard even when the sounds of evil are ringing loud? Will you make sure that you stand up and do what's right even when doing what's wrong is oh so easy? I know I will. This is the Infinite Evolution. Peace.